welcome to my channel, and today we'll be doing an ILS tutorial using the Garmin 530, and we'll be taking the Cessna 414 from Paine-field to Seattle. Let's get into it. If you enjoyed this video, like, share and subscribe. So first we will remove the cowl flaps, open the cowl flaps, and we will just give ourselves a little bit of fuel because we are low from the previous flight, so we just increase that a bit and just make sure yeah, this is enough. 19 gallons is enough, and then we can stow that away. So we would first shift to the left tank, and as we are approaching we will shift to the right tank, and then I'll just turn these on after we get the powers running. So first our batteries, and then we turn the night light on. And then we turn these on as well. Awesome, perfect. And then we would get our engines running. So we have our nav lights and anti-collision, and then we have our mags turned on and our auxiliary fuel pump. But because it's cold today, we would wait for the engines to run, and then we'll turn off the heater. So this would be a cold start. So full forward props and mixture forage. Then we crank the throttles up a bit, and then prime, and then we can start it. Awesome. And now we can start engine 2. Awesome. There we have it. So now we would turn on our avionics that power up the Garmin 530, and we would just wait for a minute or two to let the global satellite align, and we would set up our flight from here to Seattle. But in the meantime, we just have our flight to speedy set up, and our altitude today will be just 2000. And then we can arm that right there, click enter. And then we need to wait for this, the status is searching, we need to wait for this to fully align. But yeah, definitely the Garmin 530, I hope this video would help you gain some confidence in using the Garmin 530 in your VLOC flights, and also to, practice some more ILS approaches in the Garmin 530. Because I turned to find out that using the Garmin 530 is a bit challenging compared to the 750. The next video will be on the 750, the Garmin 750. Yep, so our GPS has aligned, and so to begin we would first go to the flight plan menu by clicking the flight plan button, and then once you're in the flight plan button, push this little button to the right here, and then it will activate the cursor. So once the cursor is activated, just shift the knob to the right and it will give you access to this waypoint information menu. Then you see something like a traffic light over here. Click on that, so you don't need to necessarily use the dial to input the waypoint or departure or arrival or whichever information you want to key in. So you just use your keyboard at this point and we'll be entering Kilo Papa Alpha Echo, and we will click enter. And then for our destination, it will be Kilo Sierra Echo Alpha, and then we click enter. So normally when you want to put a waypoint here, you select the final waypoint with the big red button right here, and then you enter your waypoint. So for example, let's say our waypoint was Sierra Echo Alpha, and then we select that, and that is a VOR in the US, so we select enter, and you see, so it's right in between, but we will not be needing that, so you can go to that, click clear, select yes, and then it's gone. So because right now we're just setting up the ILS for that, so to do that we go to the procedure buttons, which is the proc button that you see over here, select it, and then you select approach, enter approach, and today we'll be doing ILS 6 right, and you click enter, and then we will be coming in through the Zikro transition, and after you're done it right, do not activate it yet, just simply load it. Yes, and then you click yes as well, and then there you have your ILS approach for 16 right and its waypoints, and automatically it sets up your localizer frequency. So right after that, you can just go back to the flight plan page, and you can use the ring button to check the distance and to see if everything is right. In this situation, we do not have to worry about a discontinuity. So our altitude is 2,000 feet, and we have armed it already, and we have our flight display set up, and we would not necessarily do a run-up today, but since it's cold, we would increase the heat in the cabin just a little bit. And then we'll turn on the pitot heat, cabin heat, prop anti-ice, and stall vent heat. And then we turn on our taxi light, and then we can get going. So before I taxi, I wanted to show you an interesting feature on the Garmin 530, which will be very, very useful in your cross-country flights. So first, if you're on the first page, it won't work necessarily. It can work here, but honestly, I recommend you go to the second page. So when you go to the second page, click on the menu button, and then go to data fields on, and then select enter, and then there you have it. So you have your distance in nautical miles, your desired track, your true track or your actual track, estimated time en route. So estimated time en route is how long you have to that desired waypoint. That's different from estimated time of arrival. Estimated time of arrival is the time you would arrive or expected to arrive. And then you have your ground speed, how fast you're going relative to the ground. So all this information is very important. That way, if the controller tells you fly at 230 knots, for example, but in this aircraft you can't go 230 knots, maybe 180, you can just monitor this ground speed figure over here to make sure that you're in the right ground speed. So without much delay, we will get going, and then I will show you two things that will indicate that your ILS has been set up. as we get closer to Seattle. So we can turn off the auxiliary fuel pump now. And it will be a single flap takeoff. Right, so this runway is pretty short and thin, so we'll be doing a short field takeoff, and then we can turn on our landing lights. So we'll just be on the edge of the runway just to be safe. Alright, awesome. So now we are aligned. We will do our soft short field takeoff. So takeoff. Positive rig, gear up, flaps up. And now our altitude is armed. And now we can set up the autopilot and click nav. There we have it. So it's actually auto-correcting once you click nav. And we are already at 2000, so we will reduce the power and open the close the cloud flaps. Keep mixing it up. And so right now it's correcting to our desired waypoint, which is Kilo Papa Alpha Echo. And in just a few minutes we will activate the approach to 16, right? Approaching VNAV profile. That's another interesting thing that the Garmin 530 has, the message bar. I would really urge everyone to pay attention to whatever the message says. It would help you in your course settings and in your approach. So now that we are on course to the approach, we would have to go to the procedure button, which is PROC, PROC, and then we select activate approach. Then we click enter, and there we have it. So now our speed is 192. Even if you struggle to read it from here, our speed is 191, so we would like that to go down. So we can just pull back on the power and then reduce the prop. So we're currently holding at 2000. And as we get closer, I will show you an indicator that will let you know that you have set up your ILS correctly. That way, once you see these two signs, you know you have done it correctly. If you haven't, if you don't see those two signs, then it's done improperly. So every aircraft is different. However, I chose to use the Cessna 414 today because it's much simpler, and I feel personally, for me, it's much simple, and I feel like I would have a better demonstration with this than any other aircraft. So right now we have leveled off at 2000. This knob right here is the decision height. It's normally set up on other aircraft, but I'm yet to figure out how to read this yet. So once I do, I will definitely figure it out, and if you do know, please put it in the comment below. So I will set it up for probably 600 feet as the decision height. And so right now our desired track is 163, which is good because we are approaching the runway, and it's going to be a straight in ILS approach. So as we get closer to the glide slope area, or closer to the section or the waypoint that begins the ILS approach, this GPS sign over here will tend to lock localizer, and VLOC, vertical localizer. If I'm incorrect, just feel free to comment. So it will change to VLOC, and it will set up the procedure from there. I'll show you what to do once that changes to VLOC. So we have slowed down to 160 knots, which is great. And then on this menu, you can definitely look in here, and I'll show you a neat trick. So in the menu, on this page, you can click menu, and then you can click change fields, select enter, and you can change anything that you want on this page to whichever you want. I like mine as is, so I'm not going to change anything. So hit clear so that it's not still on the cursor. So we'll go to the next page and just hold it right there, and then this has already auto populated because we are already in range from when we took off. So this is already populated, and it will show you what localizer that you are set on, so that you are not confused as to which runway you picked. It's just an indication of which runway you were set up for. So we are in clouds, full snow, at night, full IMC, and we are set up for approach to runway 16 right. So on that note, I would say we should slow down a bit more. Say to about this point, because we're in full IMC, we do not need to be too fast or too slow. And if this were a hand a hands-on flying type of flight, I would always recommend to make gentle turns so that you do not accidentally make a steep turn and end up crashing and dying. So yes, so this is the full instrument approach ILS setup for runway 16 right, and we are currently at 2,000 feet with a barometric pressure of 29902, and we have slowed down to 150 knots, which I prefer. That's my desired speed right now because we do not want to be too fast. One interesting thing I like about the 414 is it shows you your total distance to your final destination, how fast you're going and how many minutes, which is very nice and very helpful. And then this would be I think this has something to do with the localizer, how far the distance measuring equipment for your localizer. Either one of them does that, I'm not sure, but if you know, feel free to comment down below on what these two do. But so far so good. We are on course. Our speed is not too low or too high, and we are exactly flying towards the localizer. There you go. So VLOC has popped up. So once VLOC shows up, click the nav button, and then you see localizer. So you see localizer and ground speed, and then the moment you switch, it starts to switch. This yellow indicator shows nav 1, so that's the second sign. So first sign, then you initiate the nav button, that's the second sign, these two, and then the third sign is these two. So this indicates that we are a bit low. If it was here, we are high, so this indicates that we are low, below the glide slope. But as we keep going forward, we should align with the glide slope, which is the center will be exactly on the glide slope, which means two reds, 2 whites. If we're here, it would be 3 reds, 1 white. So this means you're definitely too high. So 3 reds, 1 whites. This means all 4 whites. Then this means the opposite of what I mentioned for when you are too high, as well as this, and vice versa. So we have passed Kilo Bravo Foxtrot India, and we are at a good enough speed to prepare for the approach. So right now we'll remain at 2,000, but as we approach the glide slope, it's starting to align, and we are on the glide slope right now, and so we are starting to descend towards the runway, even though we have set it up for 2,000. So if you set it up properly, this is how it's supposed to look like. So on that note, I'll say, because we are descending, I will slow down, gear down. Then we'll pull the throttle back, and then we have icing on the windshield. So there you go, that's the runway right there. Unfortunately, our visibility is not that great right now, but as you can see, the rapids are here, and that sound that you heard was the decision height. And then we have our full flap set up. There we go, and we are on the glide slope. So we can disconnect the autopilot at this point. And we have touchdown. Yeah, my bad for the icy windshield. Didn't think that through. And there we have it. We have landed at Seattle in one piece. And there we have it. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and have the rest of a good day. Bye bye.